When a bank turns down your loan application in under a minute, chances are no human ever looked at it. A piece of software decided. Europe saw that and did something nobody else had done. It wrote a law for artificial intelligence itself, and the strictest rules were aimed straight at banks, due this August. Bank compliance teams spent the whole year racing toward that date. Nights, weekends, consultants on retainer, and then, a few weeks before the finish line, Brussels quietly moved the date. So here is the trap this video is about. Is the pressure off, or did banks just walk into something worse? By the end, you will know exactly what moved. The one obligation that did not move and still lands this August, and whether a smart bank slows down or keeps sprinting. To see the trap, you only need one piece of background. The law is called the EU AI Act, the world's first full rulebook for artificial intelligence, and its core idea fits in one sentence. Europe sorted every AI system by how much damage it can do to a real person. Picture a pyramid. At the bottom, harmless stuff like spam filters, almost no rules. In the middle, AI that must at least tell you it is an AI. Think chatbots. At the very top, uses so dangerous they are banned outright, like governments scoring citizens' behavior. And just below banned sits the category this whole story turns on: high risk. AI that decides whether you get a loan, a job, or an insurance payout. High risk does not mean forbidden. It means you may use it, but you must prove it is safe, fair, and watched by humans. And a bank scoring your creditworthiness with AI is the textbook example. It is literally on the list, Annex III of the law. So what does the law actually demand from a high-risk system? From the old deadline, the 2nd of August 2026, a bank running a credit scoring model would owe the full stack: a risk management system, documented control over the data the model learns from, technical documentation, automatic logging of every decision, real human oversight, and proof the thing is accurate and robust. That is a serious build, easily a year of work, which is exactly why those compliance teams from the opening spent all of 2026 sprinting. The finish line was set in law, and then it moved. Here is the news that changed everything. In 2026, the EU pushed through a simplification package, nicknamed the Digital Omnibus. Parliament signed off in June. The Council gave final approval on the 29th of June, and it is being published into law right now. The headline for banks: the high-risk obligations for Annex III systems, credit scoring included, no longer bite on the 2nd of August 2026. They move to the 2nd of December 2027. That is 16 extra months. AI baked into regulated products gets even longer, out to 2028. Before anyone celebrates, break that news down to first principles, because the headlines got it half right and half dangerously wrong. Everything turns on one question. When a regulator pushes a deadline back, has the rule itself gone soft, or has only the clock moved while the rule stays exactly as strict? Those are completely different worlds for a bank. One means relax, the other means you now have more time to do something that got harder, not easier. Get this wrong and you either burn money you did not need to, or you stand down a program you needed to keep running. So why would Europe blink on its own flagship law? Not because it went soft on banks, because the homework was not ready. High-risk compliance is supposed to run against detailed technical standards, the precise how-to that tells you what good enough actually looks like. Those standards were still being written. You cannot fairly fine a bank for missing a target that nobody had finished drawing, so the EU gave itself and everyone else more time to get the tools in place, which tells you something important about the delay. It is not a retreat, it is a run-up. Now the part the celebration headlines missed. And this is where a bank gets burned. Not everything moved. 3 things are already live or still landing on schedule. The bans on the worst uses of AI have applied since early 2025. The rules for general-purpose AI models kicked in last August. And critically, the transparency duties under Article 50, telling people when they are dealing with an AI or with AI-generated content, still apply from the 2nd of August 2026. So if your customer chatbot or your AI-written communications do not disclose what they are, that clock is still ticking this summer. Put those together and you see the trap. The sentence going around every boardroom: the AI Act got delayed. is true for the heavy, high-risk build and completely false for transparency, for the bans, and for general-purpose models. Treat one headline as if it covered the whole law, and you will stand down a control that was still required. Get this wrong, and it is not an abstract problem. It is a supervisory finding with your name on the report for a duty that never actually moved. So what does a sharp bank actually do with this? The naive read is, great, park the project until 2027. The expensive read is, we already spent the money, so stand everyone down. Both are wrong. Think about why the deadline slipped. The standards were not ready, which means when they do arrive, the bar gets clearer and harder to fake, not softer. The banks that keep building governance now, data lineage, logging, human oversight, walk into December 2027 already compliant while everyone else restarts in a panic. The delay did not remove the work, it just moved it from a sprint to a plan. One more thing that quietly did not change. Credit scoring is still high risk under the AI Act. The Omnibus moved when the obligations bite, not whether your model is in the high-risk box. So the classification on your systems is the same today as it was last month. Every credit scoring model, every automated decision that gates someone's access to a loan is still on the list. All that changed is the calendar. The label and everything it eventually demands is exactly where it was. So back to our one question. Did the rule change or just the clock? For the high-risk build, only the clock, 16 more months, and it is runway, not relief. For transparency, the bans and general-purpose AI, nothing changed, and one of those still lands this August. The banks that win are not the ones that heard delayed and relaxed. They are the ones that read the fine print and kept moving. The rule did not get easier, the clock got longer. Make sure your team knows the difference. This is the Reg AI Brief, where we turn banking regulation and AI into something you can actually use on Monday. If this helped you tell the signal from the noise, subscribe and join the free newsletter linked below, where we break down the moving parts of bank AI regulation as they happen. Deadlines will keep sliding. The fundamentals will not. See you in the next one.